So guys, welcome to the introductory video for the theory lesson, the module 1 and 2. When you come into the shop, I'm going to get you guys to go down to the beach, set up the whole kite, run up the lines and do everything. So please pay attention because there's a lot of information that you need to take note of. And the nice thing here is that you guys will be able to go back, and if you missed stuff, we'll be able to go and check it out. First thing you're going to do, guys, we're about to flap our kite on the beach. Have a look what's down on the beach in front of you. Because I've seen guys throw their kites out, there's sticks and there's all stuff on the beach. It can cut your kite. So look around you. Where we are here, it's perfect. We've got a nice clear area, so we unzip the bag. We're going to grab the kite and we're going to flap the kite out. So we need to grab it by the leading edge and flap it downwind. So the wind's at my back, we're going to flick it down over there and lay it down. So what we've got here is an inflate and a deflate. This is your weakest point. It's the biggest point in your kite. So what you need to make sure is that you get your hand behind this and you use the valve and you push the valve all the way in. So it goes in like that. Don't ever have it, and I've seen a lot of guys that have it sticking out like that. Because the Velcro now goes over it, but if you crash your kite, that can release, and eventually the air starts coming out of that. So when you do this, it pushes all the way in. That's very important, guys. And then the Velcro goes over it nice and tight, and it doesn't insert like a lilo. What you then got is you got a leash, little holder. This is your hook from your pump, and it hooks into it. Be aware, some of the models actually have this other valve over here, which I don't actually know what it's for, in all honesty. But if you're pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping, just check that valve has been closed, because sometimes it hasn't. So what we've got is, this is your leading edge. This is what we're inflating through the inflation, but it's got little pipes that run into your struts. Underneath this, which I'll show you now, you've got these little clamps. That's the same as like they have in a drip, which can close and open, close, push together, open, opens up. But they're hidden under the neoprene like that. Make sure that those get closed, but I'll go through that with you now. So what we do, if you connected the kite, the pump leash to the kite, you're then going to insert the nozzle into the valve, into the inflate valve, and now we're going to pump our kite. You don't need to put sand on your kite, guys. A lot of guys put sand all over the kite. It's a waste of time. All you're going to do, as long as your leash is inserted, we pump. It's a double action pump, so we're pumping up and down. And as you pump, everything else inflate. Another thing to watch out for when you do it is that your kite doesn't roll over, because what can happen here, this side can actually roll into itself, preventing it from rolling out, which can cause you to burst a leading edge. Because inside your leading edge is like a latex tube, which can get punctured and it can also burst. So keep an eye on it when you're pumping. Now, it gets to a stage where it's quite difficult to pump. On the valve, on the pump, you've got a little valve over here which you open up, which changes it from a 2-to-1 to a 1-to-1, from a 1-to-1 to a 2-to-1. So now it doesn't pump up, it just pumps down. So it makes it a lot easier to go. So what we've got a gauge over here. On this pump over here, we generally pump it up just to the edge of the red, which is 10 psi. And if you have a look there, we're hitting 9, almost 10. And we'll do it to there. And all we're going to do is we're going to pull the valve out, and you're going to push the nozzle in, the valve in, and close it. What we then got is you've got the clamps. Now, again, take the kite leash off. It's very important that you clamp your struts. The reason being, if that valve bursts, this air over here is going to flow into your valve. So if you're out to sea and you crash your kite and that valve bursts open, all the air from your struts is eventually going to lead into your leading edge, and the entire kite is going to deflate. If your entire kite deflates, you're going to be swimming with a wet sack. So it's going to be a weight in the water. It's very important that your kite stays afloat. So keeping your struts inflated will allow your kite to remain floating in the ocean. But on top of that, if you get a leak in a strut, it can be the reverse. So where all the air from your leading edge then runs into your strut and slowly leaks out. So rather clamp it off so it's easier to actually go. So you just go to each one and clamp it and clamp it. If you have a look here, this one was clamped before, so you have a look. So either we've got a problem here, or this wasn't clamped. But there, now it's clamped, which can affect your pressure. So maybe it's an idea to go back and pump it up some more. But again, clamp it off, and then it's done. When you're dealing with your kite, you always deal with it by the leading edge. So basically, you're gonna hold it like that. If the wind's light and you use your hand below it, don't drag your kite through the sand. That's how you get holes in it. That's how you get little nicks in your actual canopy, or you can get a little hole in your bladder. But your kite's rigid, guys. If you have a look at this, another way of being able to test it, if you haven't got a valve system, try and bend your kite over. You see, if it's kinking easy, it's quite hard to bend that over. That's where it should be. Because if you have it kinking easily, then it's too soft. Don't underinflate your kite, because if you underinflate your kite, that skeleton or the inflatable pit is what's giving you your rigidity in your kite. If ever you're flying and you see your kite start jellyfishing, so it starts wobbling in the wind, go to shore straight away and check your kite, because you may find you're at a leak, and the last thing you're going to do is your whole kite collapses, the next thing you're in the sea and you're going to be swimming, and then you'll regret it. So now what we're going to do, we've got the wind behind us, we're going to get ready to run our line. So we're going to walk the kite over. Again, look where you're doing it. So we're going to take the kite, we're going to walk it over, and you're going to face the kite straight into the wind, so it's there. And guys, very important, put sand on your kite. And that's not enough, because that's just going to flap off. So you need to make sure that you get here and you to weight the side down, because the last thing you want to do is have your kite flying away onto the beach. So guys, the next thing we're going to do is you're going to run our lines. What I always do, I run my lines downwind. The reason being is that when I come to launch the kite, when I grab the bar straight down there, I'm in the best possible position. I'm going to slowly walk the kite around and bring it into the power zone. If you do it the upwind method, what I don't like about that is if you turn the kite over and you tighten your lines, your kite's straight downwind of you, in that little hot spot I spoke about earlier, it's in the worst possible position. It's a safer way as far as I'm concerned. So what we need to do is we're going to run our lines out from it. What we've got over here is we have these little elasticated pieces. We're going to take the elasticated pieces off your bar. You're going to find the end of your bar, which is there, and we're going to run our lines. Just start unraveling it. Okay, we get to the end. Some guys bury the lines over here. I generally don't. I'll just leave them and I'll just wrap. Very important is the way you wrap your lines. You see, it's nice and neat. This will help you unravel your lines, because if it's untidy, it makes it more difficult to unravel. What you can also do here, if you want, grab the chicken loop, hold in your hand so it doesn't get tangled, and then you just jiggle it. So I'm just moving the bar from side to side, line the lines to flap off. Because the kite's upside down, you're going to put the bar upside down. So you're going to put the red onto the right hand side, you're going to drop the bar on the floor, and you're going to make sure that everything is set up from here behind. So we can stand into our lines with the two lines on either side of your leg and the center lines in the middle. And all we do now is we walk. One hand holds all four lines. The other hand creates an angle. Now, if you have a look, I'm separating three lines. The two center lines, if they're twisted, come back and do them as a separate exercise. Just keep your hands out, just separating the three lines initially. If you want to separate the two middle ones, do it as a separate one. But your one hand holds all four. Don't hold it like this, because straight away I'm getting tangled, it starts going. Get one hand out and there. And you can just obviously work your hand to the side. If it gets tangled on the other side, just change your hands over. Now I'm too far away from the kite. Okay? So what we're going to do, instead of dragging the kite towards the bar and possibly damaging the kite, just hold all four lines and drag the bar to the kite. We're then going to pull the one line out and separate your lines. They're a bit of a tangle. Just keep it using your feet as your legs as separating them. Okay. Keep them between your legs. And now all you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you take that line all the way to the outside. You drop your center lines in the middle, and you're making sure that your red is on the right hand side. So if this is a green line or another line, it means that you didn't turn your bar upside down. So just run back to your bar, flip your bar over and rerun your lines. Your lines are already separated. But when you start with our center lines, it doesn't make a difference. As I said, if you want to separate your center lines, you do it again. What you want to do now is this is your bridle line of your kite. Okay? This line here must run. You see, first of all, you want to check your pulley. Your pulley's working. This can tangle like that, guys, where it looks right, but it's actually tangled. So just make sure and just double check that. So it's like that. And what we've got over here, we've got a knot and we've got a loop on your line. So all we need, it doesn't make a difference which of the center lines, which one goes to where. We're going to push this, it naturally bends one way. You're going to push it through, make a lark's head, a slip knot, goes through it, pulls tight, slides up, pulls tight, tight again. Other ones do exactly the same thing. Check that the pulley's okay, make sure it's not twisted, make your lark's head. So these ones, it doesn't make a difference, but your side lines, make sure it's a nice neat slip knot. Just be careful that it doesn't, especially on the smaller ones, it's like that. Because if you have it like that and it goes over there, it'll come off. Right, now we come onto our sideline. This is the one that's important, and we always do this last. Red to red, and we sort it. Don't ever connect a green to a red. And it goes over, in, just a slightly different step. And then we'll go and do the other side as well. Right, so when you're putting the harness, basically you want to do, you've got a click-in system, so that it clicks in like that. You're going to push it into it like that, hear the click, and you're tightening. If you tighten forward like that, you don't get enough pressure. So what you need to do is you use like a ratchet system. You pull back and tighten. So you basically do it like that. You want to tighten from both sides so that your harness doesn't go off center. So when you're tightening, tighten from your left and your right. And it's there. This is the waist harness. You guys are going to use the seat harness, so this doesn't go between the legs. As you progress in kiting, you progress onto a waist harness. It can give you too much of a pull from above. So as a beginner, you want to have the leg straps to keep the harness down on you. But ultimately, this is a more comfortable harness. So what you've got in the harness, you've got the spreader bar, which is this, which connect, and you've got this is your safety leash, which is connects onto the kite. When you're not using the safety leash, what we tend to do with it, just click it onto the middle over there, so it's nice and out the way. One of the biggest things I want to try and teach you today, guys, and this is probably the most important thing that you can take out of the lesson, is your harness. Everything revolves around the harness in kiting, and this is the hardest thing for us to teach. The harness is what holds your kite, and you are there to steer the kite. The problem that we've got in kiting, and this is what I've got to try and teach you guys not to do, is that instinctively use your hands. Now what you've got is, this is your chicken loop. Your chicken loop connects onto your harness over here. This is your spreader bar. So what you've got over here, this is your safety leash. Your safety leash is going to connect onto your chicken loop on that little loop over there. So what we do is, if you have a look over here, it's just got a little thing over there, boom, goes into it like that. The chicken loop goes in, and this is your PP over there. That slots in behind. So if you have a look, there's a hole over here. So it goes in there, and it slots in behind it, so it prevents it from coming unhooked. So it's like that. This is what holds your kite. And what you've got is you've got your control bar. Your control bar goes up and down, but what you've got in your control bar is the sidelines of your control bar connect to the back of your kite. The center line of your control bar connects to the front. So as you pull the bar in, it pulls the back of the kite in, and it powers the kite up. As you relax your bar out, it depowers. Your safety is actually up the top third over here. So as you pull the bar in and out, you can actually control the amount of power you're doing. We're going to start practicing that. But the power of the kite always goes straight through to your harness. It never bends. If you bend it like that, it means you've got more power in your hands than you have on the harness. And I want the power to be on the harness. Your hands should be relaxed, just to be able to pull left and right. Because now watch. What you've got, your control bar is color coordinated. Okay, you've got a red and you've got on this one a blue. Often it's a green, but you generally always have a red. So when you're pulling, if you want to pull left or right, you're going to pull like this. Okay? But what you have to make sure is your red is never ever on the right hand side. Don't associate the R and the R. Red's not right. Another way of doing it is port. It's a sailing one. Your red's your port side. Port side, if you drink too much port, you're going to come left. Port's red. If you drink too much port, you're going to come left. Port, left. Okay. So red's not right. Never ever have the red on the right hand side. Very important. First thing you ever do before you launch your kite, make sure the red's in the left hand. Okay, so it's there. So to pull right, you're going to pull your right hand. So grab your right hand on the bar and pull right. That's your turn that you're going to do. But if you're holding with the other hand, pull right now. You see, you can't turn it because this hand stops the bar from turning. And what's going to happen then, you're going to twist the bar to try and get it to go. So the whole thing is you've got to relax your other hands here, guys, because if you don't, you can't turn the kite. So guys, your first form of safety with kiting is just let go. And this is what's amazing with the new kites. Guys always say, well, cool, you know, old kites versus new kites. In the old days, if you let the kite go, it didn't make a difference. The kite carried on dragging you. Here, the kite depowers 80%. So all you have to do is open your hands. The problem is if something goes wrong, your natural reaction is to pull. And you pull the bar in and power the kite up. So because your power is down here and your depower is up there. Your natural reaction when you pull the bar in, you're actually making the situation worse. So try and get into habit from the beginning of if something goes wrong, just open your hands. The bar will run away from you. Your kite, just so you know, won't just go up and sit above your head and wait for you. It will go wherever it was going. So if it was crashing into the sand or into the water, it will carry on doing so. If it was flying straight across the zone, it will carry on doing so. But it will do so depowered. And there'll be a lot less wear and tear on your equipment with the kite smashing, and instead of it smashing and fully powered, it's got a lot of the power dumped. If you're still in trouble, you've got another form of safety over here, which is your big red over here. And all you're going to do is you're going to grab that and you're going to push it and release. Push and release. Push, grab that and push and let go.
Oh, okay.
And the kite goes onto that. Guys, if you pull a quick release, you're in trouble, let go of the kite. And the kite goes onto its safety line. Then you've connected to the kite via your safety leash. Now this is mainly so that once you've pulled your safety, you still are connected to your kite. The newer system is a better system because it flags the kite onto a single line, so it opens it up and spills the power. Some of the older systems still will have amount of power. So your kite can still have about 10% of the power, but enough to actually drag you out to sea. So if you're flying in a cross offshore, which we said to you not to fly in a cross offshore because it's blowing you away from the shore, if the kite's blowing you and eventually it's the stage, well, you're not going to make it back to shore, you've got to be able to release the kite. So you've got another form of safety, which is this. You grab the red one and you push it and you release it. If you release your kite, swim back to shore, let NSRI know that you've released it, because if someone finds your kite floating around out to sea, they're going to send out a search party looking for you. So it is advisable to phone NSRI and actually just let them know that you are okay. This safety here, I've pulled and showed you about 5 times in the last 20 years. Of the 5 times I've pulled it, 4 of them was because of the surf. So the main reason I've pulled this is just to open the kite up in the surf. Generally, by just releasing the bar, you've got enough to depower your kite and actually get yourself out of trouble. To reconnect this, you have to push it up. You use your finger to pull it down and it reinserts into it over here. Right. To reconnect your safety line over here, if you have a look, so it goes there, pushes through, in and over, like that. And it can connect back on it. Just so you are also aware, on your harness, most harnesses, you've got a knife over here. If you have a look, it's a little hook knife. You can actually use just to grab and hook the lines. But it connects them back. Make sure it's inserted in properly, and the Velcro is secure. A lot of these things fall out, so it is important that you actually shove it in properly. So that comes to the end of just how to set up your kite and run your lines. But now, please don't put a kite up without further instruction. There's nothing that will teach you. You cannot learn via video the whole lot. Nothing takes preference over actually flying a kite, and things can go wrong and go wrong very quickly. So let's get you going, pump up the kites and go on to the next session, part 3. For the part 3, come through to the shop and watch